welcome to Life Coaching on the Move. I'm your host, Dawn Fisk. Welcome along. If you're new to this series, then do feel free to catch up on the last 60 episodes or so. If you like what you hear and it's helpful and useful, then please spread the word. That would be fantastic if you would tell your friends or social media about it, because it may well be exactly what one of your friends needs right now. If you're a regular listener, welcome back. Thank you so much. It's great that you keep coming back. I do know that there are hundreds and hundreds of other podcasts out there you could choose from, but you've chosen mine today. Today we are talking about the taking personal responsibility of and learning and getting the gifts and the lessons from real upsets. We're talking about those really upsetting times when somebody said something or written something or responded to you in such a way that has really profoundly upset you and it stayed with you for a long time. We're talking about why and how differently we can react, what we can take from it, and some lessons around that. So it's a practical episode. I want, just before we launch into it though, to just draw your attention to the fact that my summer August sale is about to launch on the website. The online programs have both had price cuts to them in August. So the online time management for busy people and the stress management program are both reduced for the whole of August. So that may be the time to take up that offer. You don't have to do them straight away. Once you've purchased them, they're yours. You can do them whenever, straight away, or repeat them. They're yours forever. So tell your friends about it. Perhaps that's what they need. What else? I think that's everything. Tell your friends about it. And the 30 minutes free. If you want to book 30 minutes with me to find out whether coaching is something that could be useful for a particular subject that you're tackling now, or career coaching, all of that, coaching for young people, anything like that. If you want to find out and talk to me for 30 minutes, then there is a box on the website, www.milestone-coaching.co.uk, where you can click the box and book those 30 minutes in with no obligation whatsoever. Last thing to say, I know that you've found this podcast, but if your friends are interested and they don't know how to listen to podcasts, then of course don't forget it's now on YouTube. Life Coaching on the Move on YouTube, Dawn Fisk, and they will find it. Or you can go on the website and click the little play button at the top right hand, tiny little play arrow, and that takes you to YouTube, and they can listen on YouTube. I know that sounds bizarre. I didn't know you could do that, but you can. They're all 60 episodes are up there, so they can listen and subscribe that way if that's much, much easier. Okay, well, I think we might as well launch into it. I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Have you noticed that sometimes when you experience a situation that's deeply upsetting, in particular I'm talking about when somebody says or writes something to upset you, when someone says something to you that really, really deeply hurts or upsets you, or they write, if you're a blogger or a podcaster, or you're on social media and someone's put something you really feel attacked and upset or something like that, or you've had an argument or a situation, or you've been in a shop and someone's blown up at you, or something's happened where somebody has said something and really had a go and it's really upset you, probably someone you know more so than a stranger, maybe. Although that doesn't matter, actually. Cast your mind back. Sometimes we manage to cope with that. Sometimes we just brush it off, maybe even laugh about it. Tell everybody that night, Friday night in the pub, share your experience about it. And it can be fine. We put it behind us. It can be non-impactful, upsetting a little bit at the time because you weren't expecting someone to have a real go at you in the petrol station or something. But you let it go, and it doesn't hook into you, and it doesn't affect you. And yet there are other situations where it really, really bugs you. It really, really perhaps upsets you or angers you or hooks into you, drags you down, stays with you. Maybe you relive it over and over in your mind. Maybe you talk about it endlessly to anybody and everybody that will listen. And it's all encompassing, it's all empowering, it just all absorbing is the word I was looking for, I think, where it really just dominates everything and you can't put it behind you. It stays with you in the present for far too long. It affects you and hooks into you for far too long. Those are the circumstances that I'm talking about now. Can you recall the last one of those? Because it'd be really useful if you could. Those are the ones, often I work with clients on things like this, where it might be a work thing. It really, really upset them. They can't move on. They can't let it go. It's held them back for ages. Or it could be a family situation or something like that. What is yours? Think about it. What in particular? And it's those situations that I'm talking about. Because I do believe that those ones affect us. Why do they affect us more than those that we manage to shrug our shoulders, laugh about, let go, move on from, put it in the past, put it where it needs to be? What is the difference that makes the difference? And the answer to that question, I think, is the massive learning. I think I would go so far as to say that's the massive gift. Potentially, if we really, really look for what is the lesson here? Why did this affect me? What is it saying to me? What can I learn from this? That's the big question. What can I learn from it? What was it telling me? What were they saying that maybe if I took that on board, maybe they're wrong in what they say, maybe they were wrong in how they delivered it or the timing or whatever. But when you really, really drill down to it, what particularly upset you? Why did it really, really hook into you? Because I believe there is a reason why sometimes, some occasions really affect us and others they don't. And it's that difference, it's the reason, the underlying reason that is the gemstone in all of this. Because often we're reactive. Often we might shout back, or we might cry, or we might not sleep for days, and we might talk to anybody and everybody about it. We're reacting. But if we're proactive, if we, talk to people who are close to us, and a good sounding board or a coach, or write it down in your journal, something like that. If you're proactive and dissect it and find out what especially upset me and why, or what could I learn from this? What is the gift in all of this? Where was there an element of truth that's put my back up? If I agreed with anything that they said, or if I could accept anything that they said or wrote or whatever, what would it be? Because that's the gem in all of this. Because if you can focus on that, it reduces the impact. It changes. You've reframed it now. You're seeing it from through a different lens. One example that comes to mind, I once had a particular client actually that came to me. They came to me, they said they were a coach themselves. Which of course means, in hindsight, that they bring with them all of their own expectations, all of their own ways of working, beliefs about coaching, etc., etc. Now, they may come with a completely open mind, and they may come wanting to see how somebody else operates. That's perfect. I love going to and watching on YouTube and attending other guest speakers. I love watching other speakers. I love learning from their style. I love learning from their content, good or bad, because we can take learnings that, I wouldn't do it that way, that just didn't work, or whatever. It's good or bad, isn't it? So I love going to these things with a growth mindset. What can I take? What can I learn? What can I be inspired by? So when I work with my friend is a coach, and she and I often sort of touch base and sort of we share experiences and share situations, and we learn from each other. It's inspiring. We don't judge each other negatively or anything like that, because we've got different styles and we can take from each other, and it's brilliant. So this person came to me for coaching, but had already said they were a coach, and that was fine. And in all the nearly 18 years that I've been coaching, this has only ever happened once, and it was upsetting. So anyway, long story short, he came for coaching. We coached on the particular subject that he brought, which was fine. We worked on his agenda, the issue that he wanted to work on. And at the time, I had builders in, and my dog at the time, which is the one before this one that we've got, she really sadly was very, very sick. She was dying of lymphoma. We knew that she was terminally ill, and she was a very nervous dog of loud noises. She didn't like thunder. She didn't like Christmas crackers. If she could hear guns in the distance around here, she would quiver and shake and sit under my desk. Well, at the time of working with this particular client, the builders were using staple guns, and it petrified her, and she was very unwell. So I, rightly or wrongly, allowed her in the coaching session, and she was very jittery and she was very unsettled, and I kept telling her, she kept moving around, and I had to keep saying to her, go and lie down in your bed, which wasn't great. Anyhow, the long story short, the client had his coaching, paid for the coaching session, and appeared very happy, sang its praises, seemed fine. Off he went, and overnight then emailed me saying it was the worst experience he'd ever had. I was extremely unprofessional. I didn't write notes. How could I possibly not write any notes, etc.? I wasn't paying attention. It was unprofessional. Whilst he loves dogs, it was unprofessional to have the dog there, so on and so on. And that his words were that he only paid for the coaching in order to get out of the room. So that was fine, and I emailed back, and it was upsetting because I hadn't had negative feedback like that quite so surprisingly, when he seemed so positive. It was so in contrast to how he left, and not expected. So I emailed back and thanked him for the feedback, although little did he know that it had upset me. It's one of those circumstances where it played on my mind and affected me. It was unexpected. I then refunded him. I told him that I am refunding you. I wouldn't want you to pay for something you feel unhappy about. However, I felt genuinely, I don't write notes. I have never written notes. I've never needed to write notes ever. For me, the way I work, and I know that there's a big enough world out there for every style of coach and counsellor and therapist. There's all sorts of different styles that work for people. Some clients will like that, some clients won't. The trick is finding the clients that like your style. And you as a coach, the trick is finding clients you respond well to as well. It's got to fit. And there's a lot of people where it won't fit, and there are a lot of people where it will. And that's fine. There's room for all of us. If he writes notes, that's good, and he will find clients that like that and respond well to that. And that's absolutely fine. I wasn't upset by that at all. But I couldn't work out what I was upset about in particular. Lots of it, probably all of it in the mixture, really. But by doing this, by being proactive and working it out, I realised that actually the gift in all of that was that I shouldn't have the dog there. That is unprofessional, and maybe I should have got her out of the house, away from the staple gun. It was very emotive because she was terminally ill, and of course you think the absolute world of your dog. And I wanted her with me and wanted to look after her. But I should have been 100% focused on him. So he was right. And as soon as I could see that, and as soon as I could see the lesson in that, it changed how negative it felt, or hurtful, or unjustified, or whatever you want to use, whatever emotive word you want to add on to that situation. It changed, and I reframed it and saw it as a lesson. And now don't ever have the dogs in the room, unless it's a child that I'm coaching. If they like dogs and want the dog in the room, I will allow that, because actually with children it can really, really help. A lot of they're not adults. They don't want to sit in a chair looking at you with full eye contact. verbalizing their emotions. They're often not able to verbalize their emotions, and they especially don't want to sit cross-legged opposite you like a grown-up, because they're not. A lot of the children that I work, young people that I work with, they end up sitting on the floor with the dog, rolling around on the floor like children do. 8-9-year-olds roll around, they yawn a bit, they play. They don't like looking at you one-to-one for a full hour session. Talking, they're not ready for that. They're not able to do that. So they talk to me through the dog. We'll often just chat about, oh, she likes that, or etc., and we keep breaking the conversation up so that it's less pressure for them. So actually the dog can be really, really helpful at times. Also, if an adult is upset and it can be therapeutic and they ask, then of course that would be fine too. But I now don't allow the dogs in there unless it's specially requested, because I learnt from that experience that you do need to be 110%, of course, 110% present with your client, fully with them. It's their time. So I learnt from that. It was a gift. So if we are proactive in the upset and we turn it round and think, what can I take from this? If there's any truth or accuracy, why are they saying what they're saying? Why are they feeling towards me the way they are feeling? What are they trying to tell me? What can I learn from it? Then that stops us being reactive and just upset and crying, and eventually, just through time, letting it go, we lose the opportunity. So think back now to one of those examples that I sort of encouraged you to think about at the beginning of this, and recall what it was in particular that really upset you. What could have been some accuracy in what they were saying, although it felt unjustified. Maybe it was unwelcome, maybe it was too harsh, maybe it was very cruel, maybe it was embarrassing, they did it in the wrong place in front of other people, it's humiliating, who knows. There could be a lot of quite justified emotion around how you're feeling. However, moving aside from that, what in it can you take from it? Of course, there may be times where this person does it anyway. It could be something about them. It could be that they're always yelling at people. They're an unprofessional boss that's always shouting at people and humiliating everybody. It doesn't matter who they are. They embarrass the whole of your team, for example, all of your colleagues. That's fine. However, don't dismiss everything just as something to do with them. Just check, do a litmus test, check. Is there anything, any element of truth, any accuracy, any learning that I can take from this? Because then it wasn't wasted. It wasn't just an upsetting experience. Now, I'm also very aware that there's a whole group of us that always blames ourselves. We're the other extreme. We are the other end of this scale. In the group coaching sessions, the life skills and confidence classes that I've been running on Zoom in groups, we were talking about not being a victim, stop being a victim, take personal responsibility for situations, which is on a par with this, really. That's what we're saying. And what I asked the group, when have you found yourself blaming somebody else for how you feel? And one of the group said that they had blamed their parents for the fact that they were now overweight, because as parents they'd always overfed them, they'd always celebrated with food, they've always comforted them with food. And so this adult had realised that night in the group coaching that had continued. In her mind, she had always said, well, it's my parents' fault that I'm overweight. And then therefore resigned herself to the fact that she was out of control, therefore not responsible for it, therefore it wasn't her fault. And that was that fact. That was it. She would remain and had no control over it, and this was who she was. Once the penny dropped and she realised she'd been blaming them, she realised actually she was in control and she could now choose, which was quite an empowering moment, a real light bulb moment. However, two of the other people in the group, where I said, What circumstance have you found yourself blaming others for? 2 of them said, I don't generally. I generally blame myself. So they're the other extreme. One of them said, it doesn't seem to matter what happens in my life. I always blame myself. Now, that too needs to stop, because blame itself is a negative emotion, and it's actually a wasted negative emotion, because it doesn't give... Again, it's reactive. It doesn't get you anywhere. There's not anything useful. There isn't anything, it's not proactive. So when we blame, it's all my fault. Why did I do that? Why am I this way? Why have I responded that way? I shouldn't have done this. That's that word should again, which I ban. Shouldn't have done this, or shouldn't have said that. Why did I fill in the blanks? That's getting you nowhere either. So not only is it wasted energy when you just blame somebody else for your upset, and you lose the opportunity to learn and gain something from it, so too are those people who always blame themselves for everything. That won't be accurate. It's inaccurate. It won't always be your fault, but blame and fault is a wasted emotion. Again, what can you learn from it? What could you have done differently then? What could you have said differently then? Or how differently could you have responded? And therefore, what will you make sure you do in the future? What do you take from it? So instead of beating yourself up about it and constantly always just repeat, because as we've said so many times, if you keep doing the same thing, you're only ever going to get the same outcome. So if they continue to always carry the blame, they continue to always beat themselves up, they're always going to feel bad. If, however, they turn that round and think, okay, maybe I shouldn't have said or didn't have to say that or didn't need to respond that. How could I do it differently next time? They're now going into coach mode, or they're now going into being their own friend. What can I learn from this? What do I need to do differently next time? What shall I practice? What shall I take from this? What little gift is in this? So the overriding theme for today is, again, take personal responsibility for the big upsets that other people, and I'm doing the air quotes here, cause you. Or for the big upsets, in fact, we cause ourselves. Don't dwell on the emotion. Don't dwell on the blame. Don't dwell on all of that and relive it and hang on to it and lose sleep over it and keep telling everybody about it. Instead, turn it round into, with a coach or with your friend or with your journal or whatever, what can I strip down into, to keep stripping layers back? What did that say to me? What did that mean? How accurate was that? What do I take from that? Where was the truth in that? What's the lesson in this? Then you will be proactive. Then it will be a gift and it'll be a learning. It'll be a great opportunity. Then you will move forward in the future. You will take this, turn it round and gain from it. Then it wasn't just upset for upset's sake and wasted and negative and a bad memory. No, in fact, it was a great opportunity. In fact, actually, the other little example, I talked a couple of weeks ago about being yelled at in the wood for my dog bouncing up to somebody else's dog. And I said that I had learnt, or I had applied sumo to it. I had to shrug, stop going on about it and just move on, let it go. And that's true, I did. And I do know, as I've said, that it was an element of who that person was. However, applying this again, I have also seen from that maybe there is an opportunity for me to apply some more training to the dogs, so that as soon as I call them, they come back anyway. Even though she meant no harm and even though she didn't do anything, is there a point where when I said her name, she could have just come back to me? So it would have nipped it in the bud, even though there wasn't really anything to nip in the bud. So what it has done to me is made me realise Going forward, what can I take from that? Well, I now have 2 dogs. I need to double the responsibility that I've got. There's double the need for the minute I say their names or call them. It would be so much better if they returned straight to me instead of carried on doing their doggy thing of sniffing the other dog, etc. Because who knows, sometimes you're out having a walk and a person is genuinely scared of dogs and they don't want a dog bounding up to them, perhaps. So maybe there's the need there where the minute I call them, they should instantly come back or could instantly come back. Maybe there's somebody or a child out there that's playing and the dog goes bounding up to them all excitable, and perhaps they're allergic to dogs, for example. Or perhaps they go bounding up to another dog and that dog's in season and the owners are very cautious. Not that that's an issue because they're both girl dogs, but you just don't know, do you? So what I have taken from that by applying this is not only an opportunity for me to use sumo, as some of you will know, is a great strategy for letting go of things. It's also a great learning for me that what can I take from this, and is there any element of truth in any of this, and is there any opportunity for me to learn from it? Can I take a gift away from it? And the gift from that is that with 2 dogs now, I need to double the efforts to do further training and to get them responding much, much sooner, no matter what the triggers are for them, no matter what the temptations are out there, that they'll come when they're called. So it wasn't wasted. I hope that's been useful. Thank you very much. Give it some thought, work on it, and share it. If there is a moment where a penny has just dropped and you've had a light bulb moment, then drop me a line and share it. I'd love to hear from you. Going forward, just a few announcements to make. Today is July the 26th, 27th. Anyway, end of July. We are approaching very soon, in a matter of days, 1st of August. Now, I'm having a summer sale in August. The whole of August, the online programs that are available for sale on my website, the time management for busy people, and the How to Manage Your Stress program are both on offer. They've both got a price cut slash on them for August, because I believe August is quite a down tools time. We might be on a beach by a pool relaxing, and they're great for doing work there on your laptop or something like that. Or you may be having a staycation. Or you may be furloughed, in fact. Whatever it is, you can purchase it in August and make the most of the money off. You don't have to do it in August. In fact, once you download the online program, it's yours to keep. So it's always in your on your computer. You can visit it and revisit the program as often as you need. So if you want to sort out your time management, learn loads of strategies to get on top of things, be more productive, more proactive, more in control, better at prioritizing, better at planning, better at avoiding distractions and overcoming procrastination, then that's something for you to own. Do it your own pace, and so on. Similarly, there's a much more in-depth program on stress. That's a 7-week program as opposed to the one session time management program. And that you can go back to as often as you can, because I do passionately believe that stress is a killer. It will make you ill. It can make any of us ill. It can affect our relationships, our performance, our sleep, our health, and everything. Stress is such an issue, and it's if you've got stress that is unmanaged, I think it is such a problem, and crucial to get on top of that. So it's a 7-week program, that one. Again, once you download it, you own it, and you can come back to it over and over again over the years ahead. Whenever you have a bit of a blip in your stress, you can revisit. So if it were me, I would make the most of the money off. Even if you don't feel you've got the time to do it now, it's always there for you, or for a colleague or a loved one if you want. I think that's all of it. If you're new to this podcast, then please feel free to go back to the last 60 or so episodes and learn from all of them. There are many, many different subjects covered, such a lot of subjects covered. If I were to direct you to any, I would say the first 10 is the best place to start in the whole series, because those 10 kind of give you the foundation of the whole of my coaching. all of the others draw from it. But every single one, every episode will have something useful in it for you. I hope you enjoy them. Don't forget, if you would like a one-to-one coaching session, then please drop me a line, dawn@milestone-coaching.co.uk. We just go one at a time. You can have one, you can have three, whatever it is, but you can just go one at a time. Equally, if you want a free 30-minute coaching telephone conversation to find out it more and to find out if it is for you, then just visit the website www.milestone-coaching.co.uk and click the box, fill it in, and we can put in 30 minutes for you to find out more of how it can help. Lastly, the group coaching sessions. There are group programs on Zoom where you can, over a series of 7 weeks, work on life skills and confidence in a small group via Zoom, safe, friendly and small, and learn loads and loads and loads. It's pretty much tailored to you. It's very, you are involved. So it's not quite as tailored as one-to-one coaching, but it is very tailored to the small group. That's why I keep it small, so that everyone can get involved and get as much out of it as they possibly can, rather than a big old lecture. So I think that's all of my announcements. Have a great week, a really confident week, and I'll speak to you next week on Life Coaching on the Move. Take care.